Hello, my name is Tuonto, and we're gonna go over why crit is important. You probably heard people say, oh, you're gonna want to build crit for endgame, or you're gonna want to build crit now for this character, and crit build crit this, right? Why wouldn't we just build attack percent as high as we can, right? Because we can get the most attack out of it. Yes, but actually no. You've most likely heard tons of people say attack is a good build for mid to for beginners and mid players, right? And then they say you should build crit towards the end game and end patch. Now, why though? Like, first, when you first hear that, you might not understand it, especially if you're a new player. But the reason is, if you build crit correctly, you're gonna be going from like what 5k autos to like maybe 10k plus. Like, look at me right now. I'm landing some 4Ks here and there with one swipe of Diluc's attack. Now, Diluc can average over 10k auto attack damage just because of a crit build. Like 4k again, another 4k. That was already what, 4 times 3? That was 12,000 damage right there. I just did with just autos, and it just works. And you're probably wondering, why would I risk the chance of not landing a crit and do less damage because I have less attack because I built for crit instead? Well, then you're not building crit right. You're not doing it right. Well, building for crit, you need to make sure you're at least hitting about maybe 40 to 50% crit for most DPS. If you're Kaching, for example, probably 70 up would be a good way to build her for crit rate. But it depends on every character, right? So for Diluc, I actually have a 50 to 100 about 55 crit rate to crit damage. If I built him for attack, he would have over 3,000 attack, right? Because one of his artifacts has crit rate. If this was an attack artifact, he would most definitely have over 3k attack. But is it worth it? As you progress in the game, the enemies get harder and harder, and the defense obviously will get higher, or physical defense especially. But you need to understand that it's worth it to have a chance at landing even double the damage Diluc has right now. 100% crit damage is basically doubling your attack every time you land a crit. Now, my crit is basically 50%. And when you have at least 40 to 50% of crit rate, you are landing those pretty often, more often than you'd think. And the fact that it's basically doubling the damage if you built for crit damage and crit rate correctly, you are talking about consistent damage higher than if you just built your character with attack artifacts. Oh, also, even Oz can crit. Fischl's a bird, so I mean, for the most part, let's keep in mind that literally anything applies to crit rate. Your elemental skill if it does damage, your normal attacks, your charge attack, even your burst if it does damage as well. And if you land a critical burst, and your burst can do some nasty damage, as you've probably seen with like all of the you know, the builds people are showing with 330,000 crit damage. Wow, so cool. It's pretty dope. That's pretty good. A good ratio for a crit rate to crit damage is probably 1 to 2. You probably want like a 50 to 100 ratio. So like, for example, Diluc is 55 to 104, which is roughly about 1 to 2. So that's the main, that's kind of like the general goal for what you want. But as long as you have, to be honest, over 40 to 50%, you're gonna be landing those pretty often. So after 50, I'd say probably just go for crit damage. Get it as high as you can, and if you can get crit rate up as well with substats, definitely do that as well, depending on how lucky you are. Something to keep in mind though is when you are building for crit on a character, some characters already have crit bonuses because of their ascension stat. If you found this vid helpful, leave a like, subscribe for more Genshin Impact content. I do stream on Twitch, and we just got Twitch partnered, which is freaking awesome. If you ever want to hang out and chat with us there, if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them whenever you stop by there. Twitch.tv/Jake Tuonto. I'll see you guys there.